Book your driving lesson now at dla-driving.co.uk. Sponsored by DLA Driving Schools.
Hello and welcome to Over in the Town. Where do we start? After two really good home performances, it was straight back down to earth with a massive bump as Luton folded under pressure, giving up a 2-goal lead against Coventry City, where it finished 3-2. It pains me to say that. It might be said Coventry were the better team, showed more desire, and they just did a Luton on us, didn't they, really? We'll talk about the game in more detail. If you look at social media too hard, you'd think that we are doomed. We ask you guys, are we as fans panicking far too early, and should players step up and take some of the blame directed towards Rob Edwards? We've had some interesting responses, we'll share those with you too. We've got your 3-word reviews and much, much more. And as usual, as I always say, if you're watching on YouTube, you've already seen this, but there's only 2 of us this evening. Firstly, I want to say happy birthday to Steve's wife, Wendy. And that's why Steve's not here. Couldn't get leave of absence. And Bataro's not here either. He's not feeling so well. So we just me and Darren. Darren, thanks for coming up, my friend.
Hello. I was the only one that could face the music, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it was that. It was a bit depressing, wasn't it, the weekend?
Oh, it was... Well, we were there together, weren't we? And
the journey was fine.
Yeah.
And then the football started, and it just sort of like went to crap.
Yeah.
Let's be fair.
Yeah, it was such a weird atmosphere, wasn't it? I think even after 5 minutes, we were like, "This is going to be a long day." It was just such a weird game.
Well, you say about weird game, and we will talk about the game in more detail, and I don't really want to talk about the referee too much, but there's a couple of things I really want to point out. Let's do it now. I mean, how influenced was he on that corner kick from them shouting that Doughty didn't have the ball in the little quarter?
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and...
he's got I don't know if the lino down that line can see, but yeah, the crowd are shouting, "Oh, you get it in the corner." We all know they overhang the ball, don't they? It's barely in there.
Well, that's the rule.
It was that he was telling him to put it back into the corner without going to have a look.
Yeah, and when he went over, he looked at it.
He looked and went, "Oh no, it's all right."
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the other instances as well. You were at the club today. It was an open training day for sponsorships.
Yeah. So we went down. It's a lovely thing the club do. I mean, we pay a fair bit for our sponsorship. So, but it is a nice thing to go and do. Has been a nice thing to go and do. The weather was rubbish.
Yeah, wet
today. Wet, miserable, and it kind of summed up the feeling around the club a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Really wet and miserable.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, let's be fair. They just come off the back of a really crap game.
Yeah, the last thing they probably want is the whole bunch of sponsors, and they've got to go around and
be happy
and sign forms and sign shirts and everything else. I don't know. It just didn't feel like normal today. It didn't feel like normal. I didn't want to say it, but I can only go by what I saw.
What do you mean by normal?
The buzz around the place. There was no, and I know we've been doing the sponsorship now for a good number of years, and we've been on the rise. So it's easy to be happy when you're winning, but
well, maybe that's just it, really.
Yeah.
They've come off of the back of that defeat. They know they haven't played that well. They're in for an absolute caning from most people on socials, and the last thing, and I know they had other TV rights there today, but the last thing they want is a group of people like us going on, sitting down there and, bombarding them with questions, because we all want the same thing, don't we? We want the club to do well.
Yeah, we do. It just, I don't know. And the trouble is the different groups are training in different areas. You've got guys that have put in a hell of a shift over 3 games that have to have an easier session than the others that need a bit of game time and played a bit of a game at the end. You've got players left, right, and centre doing different things in the gym on their own. It just feels like everything is just, they didn't come together. Do you know what I mean? There was these groups were separate and they seemed separate. They didn't all come together as a collective group in the training session, which I've seen before. I'll be honest, Dave, we've been to a few and Rob joins in. He's normally quite vocal. He wasn't today. He kept his distance today.
Well, I'm just going to say that, we can read into that. How you read into that is down to you or whoever else was there today might feel the same. But maybe we just don't know the reasons why.
No, we don't.
And we don't.
We don't. He came round at the end as he does all the time, and he gave time to everybody, and he smiled for the cameras and everything else. But he wasn't massively part of the training session today. But
they are preparing for a big game on Friday.
Yeah. No, it's just, maybe. I got absolutely soaked, and maybe it ruins my experience. But I took my youngest Oliver. You can mark that down. I took my youngest Oliver. That was the first time he went, and
he loved it.
He loved it, and I've got to say, Kaminsky was fantastic with him, and Walsh had a little kick around with him, and he loved that. So.
And I bet he ran past Walsh quite easily.
No, Walsh two-footed him.
At the weekend at Coventry, we went full of hope that actually now we played two really good games at home. Obviously, the Watford game we was ecstatic about. And then the Sunderland game I thought we was very, very unlucky. And maybe for want of, in inverted commas, VAR decision, we might have won it.
Yeah.
But... we soon got knocked back down to earth when we got in there, didn't we? We did,
and you're right with the Sunderland game. I think it could have gone either way. Sunderland did to us what we were doing to teams a couple of seasons ago. I thought we were fantastic against Sunderland.
But that's why they're top of the league, because they've had a couple of chances and they've been 100% on them and scored from them.
Because I don't think they're the best team in the league.
Currently stats say they are.
Stats say they are, but player for player, I don't think they are. I think they'll be in and around the playoffs. But I thought we gave a good account for ourselves, and I think, look, I don't think we wouldn't be worried if we play like that. If we play like that and lose the odd game, and you can maybe question a decision or whatever, you come away going, okay, it's one of those things. It's the manner in our performances in games up to that. But I know when we were travelling up, Dave, we sort of said, we've had the two home games. We seem to have changed our style.
Yeah.
I wonder whether he would keep that style away from home,
Well, we start with the same team that we started at Sunderland, so you're expecting the same sort of input and energy from everyone, and it just didn't turn out like that. Do you know what? Let's have a look at your 3-word reviews before Darryl and I go mad and talk more about the game. Gary says, complete utter shambles. Craig, same old story. Paul, awful second half. Carol, third goal offside. We can talk about that one, Carol, in more detail. Louise, subs didn't work. Nathan, Adebayo scores again. There's a positive. Rich, poor game management. Harry, Woodrow over Taylor. Reese, discipline has gone. And Matt, in deep trouble. It's just us two. Let's pick a couple each.
Well, let's clear up the goal, the third goal offside. He wasn't. When you look at it from a different angle, you've got Doughty
on the other side,
right down by the linesman, and it's ludicrous, isn't it? Because how can someone out by the corner flag be playing someone on in the middle? But it's the rules of the rules. It's how deep you are on the pitch. So Doughty was keeping him on.
So if Doughty wasn't there, does his goal get disallowed?
Roll of the dice, isn't it? It depends whether you're Silver for Man City or Clark the other day against Sunderland. It's interpretation, but you can't say he wasn't interfering with play because he jumped over the ball. So I don't.
But he wasn't offside.
But he wasn't offside.
So there you go.
So sorry, Carol, but we can't have that. I mean, you could go through them all, couldn't you? Gary, it was a complete shambles because actually, let's be honest, we were 2-0 up, and we probably didn't. Well, there's no probably we didn't deserve to be 2-0 up.
No, listen. I spoke with the Coventry podcast pre-match, and they were under the impression that they weren't going to be very good at home. They haven't been very good at home. They haven't played well. like us and like some of our supporters, they are doubting whether Robbins has got things right and whether he's the right person in charge. So they're going through all the same things that we're going through. But when they had to step up on Saturday, they did, didn't they? And the second half in particularly, they just dominated.
They did. But I think going back to that complete utter shambles, like we were saying, are we going to come out and start the same as we did against Watford and Sunderland? Are we going to go for it? Look, we looked at I always look at, X, Twitter, of the opposition when the team sheets come out. And the Coventry fans were suicidal. They were like, he's signing his own resignation. How defensive are we and everything? I'm thinking, right, if we go for these, but we didn't. He didn't. Either they didn't have it in them, or he didn't have that pressing game that we did against Watford and Sunderland. So, I don't know whether we were so poor or they were so good. But then it comes down to Rich, the poor game management. So did he change the ethos for an away game? Did he say, right, we can't press, or third game of the week we can't? Did he set them up differently?
I don't think he did. From when we started, I thought we were going to be on it, and then I was thinking about it. When you look at poor game management, the people that had the best game management on Saturday was Coventry, and I just mean not just the way they were pressing, not just the way they were playing the ball, but the way they fell over and laid down a bit and stopped the game from flowing when they needed to.
Everything.
And at 2-0, we should be doing that. We should be stopping those attacks. We should be doing things like that just to slow the game down a bit. As soon as Coventry scored, you knew what was coming.
Okay, poor game management as well then. So, Alfie's told you've got to wait for the whistle for the free kick. He takes it early, he gets booked. Ridiculous
ridiculous. See, there's the referee again. And then Alfie's on centre hooks because he can't put in those challenges after that.
He can't dive in. He probably knows he's missing West Brom as well. It's probably in his mind that he's missing West Brom because of the accumulation. Yeah. Morris, now...
Well, there's no excuse for that.
There's no excuse, but it's a corner.
Yeah, 100% it's a corner. It's a corner. In these circumstances, as a professional footballer, if you moan in that state, the referee's going to do you because he's got the earpiece in for the other guy, and the linesman's reporting back to him. He's saying this about me. Well, we'll just knock that on the head. It's a silly booking, that one.
Yeah. And early on as well. So, poor game management. We think of that as Rob, but it's from the players as well.
Of course. I disagree in deep trouble. I disagree, Matt. I think we're in a little bit of a thing, but we get a couple of wins, and then we could shoot up a few places in the division. It's quite close at the moment. Obviously, it's not where we want to be, but are we in deep trouble?
No, we're not in deep trouble.
A little bit of trouble.
I think we're in a little bit of trouble. But again, we're looking at saying at that training session. I knew the players that there was a lot of players not even out on the grass. We're missing a lot of players.
Well, actually, we are. We're missing Reece Burke, Waters, Mengi, Anderson, Bell, Baptiste, Lockyer, obviously. And then on Friday, add to that Holmes and Doughty.
Yeah.
That's almost a whole team.
There was a few more than that, not even training, not even out on the grass today.
Yeah, but we don't know the reasons why. They might have been inside being interviewed. You just don't know.
True.
So, we can't speculate too much because we really don't know what goes on behind the scenes in that situation. Coventry 3, Luton 2. No changes from Sunderland in midweek. So, we were quite happy with that because I thought we played really well against Sunderland. I thought we were just unlucky. And actually, I didn't think we started too badly.
No, I don't think we did. But equally, like I said, after 5 minutes, I think it was you, Dave, that turned around to me and went, "This is going to be a long afternoon." It just felt like it was
long. Yeah.
If I'm honest, even the fans, it didn't feel like we were buzzing. It didn't. I don't know what it was. Whether it was the early kickoff or what.
Well, maybe we expected inevitable, and maybe we were just thinking, well, let's get that press going. Let's get hold of the ball, and there was a few stray passes. But we had a couple of really good opportunities and, we score after 15 minutes. And at that point, you're thinking that's going to demoralise Coventry because they thought they'd be on the front foot at this point. The fans won't get behind them. They're 1-0 down. Was it a penalty?
Yeah, of course. I thought Chong played really really well. That's what I want to see Chong doing. That driving forwards, getting into the box. And a player like him, a little bit of skill, they're going to take him down. I think the guy was a bit clumsy, but it's a penalty. It's a penalty all day long. Brilliantly put away by Morris. He didn't do his little stutter this time, but brilliantly put away. And it quietened that crowd, because it was a half decent crowd as well, wasn't it? They were noisy.
26,000.
Yeah. So it quietened them down, and you think, okay, we probably, on the basis of it, we probably don't deserve to be one up, but we are. Let's push on. And we still didn't seem to push on. But then we go 2-0 up.
Well, do you know what? I have to say, they had a couple of chances, didn't they? And we had other chances after we scored, though. And I thought, actually, we could do this. And you could feel the intensity from the crowd that they were going, well, if we don't score in a minute and Luton get a second one, we're doomed. And I was thinking, if we get a second one before half-time, it's ideal.
Yeah.
But I didn't think at that point 2-0 would secure the win. And why do I feel like that?
We both said the same. I mean, well, let's talk about the goal before we talk about how we felt at half-time. But
okay.
The goal... that was
a great goal.
Sublime. But that part... We were talking last week about... we keep harping on about Barkley, about missing that little bit of quality. But that ball from Kraus...
was just on the bar.
Oh, it was superb. But fair play where it's due. Eli's movement was fantastic. It was, from Morris taking it down to playing it inside, it was a fantastic goal.
Yeah, and we've seen Elijah being in those positions before this season and not finish. But he's finished on Saturday, was clinical. Goalkeeper got something on it, but
But he lifted it enough. It was
37 minutes, 10 minutes from half time basically, and we're 2-0 up, and we're thinking, well, maybe, just maybe this might be our day, and maybe the crowd will be silenced and that'll be it. And I have to say, again, as I was talking to the Coventry guys last week, they thought if we went ahead, then we'll just take it to them. And so it gets to half time, and what are we thinking? Just don't concede. Just don't concede a goal.
For as long as possible.
For as long as possible. The worst thing that can happen is you start the second half and we concede. And actually, from minute one of second half, I just thought, where's our team gone? What team has come out this half? Yeah. It was on the cards from minute one. It was going to turn, and it was going to turn against us.
You knew they were going to come out. You absolutely knew they were going to come out flying. They had to. So yeah, fine. You've got to weather the storm, but I have no idea. And here's the worry of. I've said it before about Edwards. He's such a nice guy. Can he get into him? Is he one of those managers that can really gee a team up and inspire them and everything else? Because we go back to Bournemouth, we go back to Oxford earlier this year. What does he say to them at half time? Because it doesn't work. Did he change it? Did he say, let's try and sit it out, let's try and defend it out? Because they came out so differently. We weren't, don't get me wrong, we weren't brilliant first half, but at least we were breaking, at least we were giving the defence a rest. We sat so deep, it was ridiculous. Surely
they've been told, or they decided between them at some point, or the coaches decided that don't concede first 10, stay solid for the first 10, and then start building it up.
But we didn't concede in the first half, playing the 10 yards further up the pitch, so keep doing that. I know Coventry are going to come out and press, but, what do they say? The best form of defence is attack.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
You've got to have someone up there.
It's frustrating because we know how well we can play at times. And I don't want to gloss over this because, to be honest, it was a dire performance. So you can't just, paint it with bells and whistles and say how great we were, because we weren't. But you've got to put into that factor that Robin's second half had his team firing on all cylinders, and Coventry played some really decent football. And every time they started attacking, they were just doing us all of the time, and they were getting the ball through us. They seemed to be quicker. They wanted it more, and we just looked drained.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we're saying he played the same team as Sunderland, and most of them probably played against Watford. I can't think how many changes there were.
But why wouldn't you? They played so well those 2 games.
Yeah, and we looked to the bench, and let's be honest,
there wasn't much on it.
There's not the most exciting bench. You hark back to game changers or whatever you want to call them, but the days when we were coming up through the league, and you'd bring a Harry Cornick on or an Elliot Lee, and you go, oh, there's something here.
Or Luke Berry.
He's
still banging him in for Charlton.
Yeah. So you kind of look at one of those and go, oh, we've got a chance here. But you look at the bench, and it's because we're obliterated. Well, the defence is obliterated with injuries. We haven't got that many injuries. We don't have great options in the attacking lineup. He doesn't want to use Taylor. It's clear he doesn't like Taylor. Who at least bringing Taylor on will get the fans excited, will get them singing, because I'm sorry, bringing Cauley Woodrow on does not excite me one bit whatsoever. But he seems to be his best friend, because Woodrow obviously can't do anything wrong. But it feels like that, and look, we're saying that we were sitting deep. I think Morris is such a great target man, and I know he's coming back from injury, but the timing of taking him off, I didn't get it, and I kind of look at it and go, okay, you've got another game in, but I can't remember what the score was when he came off, but you're in a game that you win or whatever. You try, I don't know, to take him off. I couldn't believe I saw him going off.
No, because he's a bit of a troublemaker, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he just holds the ball well.
Yeah.
He's very, very strong.
Yeah.
But then again, another booking, he then can't play because he's already been booked. He's sent off. He can't play Friday.
Yeah, quite possibly.
So maybe he's just protecting him.
Quite possibly, but then Eli comes off, and with the greatest win in the world, we've got Woodrow and Brown playing up front.
Yeah, that's disappointing, isn't it? That's disappointing. Jacob Brown, I can see. Cauley Woodrow, bit player for me. Obviously, he had his glory moment at Crystal Palace last season, and that was an amazing experience for us.
Yeah. But for me, if you're looking at those two, I'll be honest, Dave. They're League One. I'm sorry. I think they're League One strikers. There's our strength in depth. I think we're bringing on decent League One players. People might call me out on that, but that's where I think they are. But look, I thought Jacob Brown did well, and he came on against Watford and scored.
I think Jacob Brown's a really good player.
No, I do. I think he's all right. But look, his pedigree, Stoke weren't that upset that he moved on. He didn't score loads of goals. He hasn't scored loads of goals for us. I know he's been injured. He's not a prolific striker. He's not an exciting player to bring on. He doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I can see what you're saying, but
he spent most of that game defending as a striker near the edge of our box.
Because everybody was. I mean, let's put some credit to Coventry, and if you're a Coventry fan listening in, I have to acknowledge that actually you were far the better team on the day, without a shadow of a doubt. Disappointing though to concede the first one from a corner kick. And marking at the post where he scores that, if Eli jumps a bit higher or just puts a bit of more of a challenge in. But you see, here's the thing, right? If we had our full squad, if we had our proper squad at the back there, you might have had Mengi there, you might have had Amari there, or Reece Burke, and it wouldn't have been Elijah's job to stop that header. But the header was a good header. The corner was delivered really well.
It was Eli. That's Eli's job to header out the short corner. He would header that out 99 times out of 100 times. The amount of times he gets to that ball, that's his job. So who scored the header? Whoever it was, Sims. He starts between, I think, Morris and Adebayo, and he takes a little step out and comes around in front. So I'm not going to put it all on Eli, because I think his job is to go and get the short ball. He's not to know the players making a move around him, but there was no movement around him.
But as soon as it went in and the noise went up, then you realised that actually we're in a game now that where we might just hang on, because we've seen Luton lose from these positions many times before. And then, to be fair to Coventry, they were on it, and you could see it lifted the crowd, it lifted them, and we just shrunk back, and it just wave after wave after wave.
We had no answer.
We had no out either.
No out ball.
Nothing.
No answer. No one on the bench to change anything.
And then Torp comes along and he scores a worldie. He
does. It was a great finish. But I don't know whether we were square pegs and round holes at the time. I think players were generally kind of playing in their positions. But it just felt a little bit schoolboy to me when I watched it back. It didn't feel like it on the day, but I watched it back. And whoever lays it off, the defenders rushed to him. He had 3 defenders or midfielders that rushed to him. And then you got him
standing on his own. But the finish, it's sublime. I've used the word sublime. Thanks to.
It was fantastic. It's always great when you see the ball go off the post and in. It looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it just felt like it was panicking defending. Just rushing to the nearest player and
talk about panicking defending. That's the reason that Holmes got sent off, right? I thought that both had a pull of each other, but when you're an attacker, he's going to give you the advantage there.
I think when you've broke into the team and that you've been trying to get into the squad even, but to get into the team for so long, and then you get a bit of recognition. Did he get man of the match?
He played really well the last 2 games.
Sunderland,
last 2 games played really well.
Yeah, and he wasn't doing bad on Saturday. And there's players coming back in the next few games. And you've been booked. You've just got to let him go. I think Doughty was covering somewhat, but you've just got to let him go. And it's really silly from him because now he's going to miss a game, and then by the time it gets to the one after, what would be Cardiff at home, is Bell going to be back? Is Mengi going to be back? Is Burke going to be back? And does he drop down the order again? It was really silly from him, and look, I'm not going to blame him of why we lost. But in the current situation where we are decimated with defenders,
I think that's when I'm at the game. I didn't realise how close to the end he got sent.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, can we now just hang on for 6 minutes? Can we hang on? And it was wave after wave after wave, and then. I don't know how to describe the last one. I really don't. I don't even want to describe it. It was scrappy, wasn't it? It was a scrappy defending, and the ball fell for the right person for Coventry and not for Luton. And if it falls at someone else's feet, it's a hoof away. Then the game finishes 2-2. And if the game finishes 2-2, we have a different opinion on this whole situation.
Oh, we've actually gone and nicked a point.
Yeah. So, I think the way that we conceded the last minute was disappointing. Well, I say last minute, 90 plus 1 in 90 plus 6, but and that ground was rocking, and fair play to Coventry. What an atmosphere they created after that, apart from the drum, which should always be banned from football games. And it's just so disappointing and so predictable. But even then, we had another chance to pull it square. Was it Woodrow at the other end?
Woodrow, yeah.
And if he scores that, then he's a hero on the day. We win. We go 3-3, and again, our attitudes are different to what we are saying right now.
No, I can't. Yeah, it's true. It's true, and we wouldn't have deserved anything if we got anything.
Because it becomes off the back of 2 good performances, and then a performance that salvages a point from immediate glory to destruction, and then we salvage a point. But that didn't happen. Because Coventry were better than us on the day. Yeah. They had 26 shots. 26. We had 9. That's what I look at and I go, how poor was that? How poor was that? What have we got to do going forward? What have we got to do? We've got to win. We've got to beat West Brom, haven't we?
We need something against West Brom. I don't know whether we've got to win. West Brom are doing really, really well. I think you'd still be happy with a draw with West Brom. Typically, and then you follow up with Cardiff, who have turned their season round a little bit.
Well, maybe, see, here's the thing, right? So Coventry only one of their one. Excuse me, everybody. One of their last 6 games until Saturday. And you just think, we're just gifting people. Queen's Park Rangers only won 1 game this season. It's against us. We've lost 7. That's the most in the league for one team to have lost.
Yeah.
It got to get better, isn't it? It's got to get better.
It has to be. When we say we're not in deep trouble, but you look, like you said, QPR won one game. It's us. Portsmouth, all right, we had 10 men. I think if we had 11 men,
I think we would easily won at Portsmouth.
Yeah, but we didn't. I think we've played a lot of the bottom teams. And
we've not got any points from them really well. One maybe. I'm
really struggling, Dave. I don't know. I don't know whether we're in trouble. I don't know whether we're just not that good. I don't know whether it's Edwards. I don't know whether it's his tactics. I don't know whether it's the players. I literally don't know what's wrong now.
Was it our expectations were quite high coming down from the Premier League? I don't mean in an arrogant way high, because we all know that it's difficult to bounce straight back unless you've put some more money in the team, which we haven't really done to the extent of other teams. I know we spent a lot of money on McGuinness, but we haven't really spent, say, the same amount as Burnley or Sheffield or any of those, Leeds and people like that. So were our expectations too? Are we really panicking? Are you panicking?
Low-key panicking. Low-key
panicking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Bataro, it's a shame he's not here, because a few pods ago he said about, well, did John still think get 10 games in then judge? Well, we're 12 in. And we're in the relegation zone.
There was that rather, what's the word, unflattering stat about the difference between Graham Jones and Rob Edwards this far into a season, and they sacked Graham Jones. And
the performances are similar. I think that was the thing with Graham Jones as well. The performances were dull.
I would also say about Graham Jones, though, he wasn't very personable, was he?
No,
and he wasn't really well liked by anybody at any point in his career.
He pinned all the hopes on
one player,
Brown, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there's the difference, isn't it? So for that stat, if you just went on stats alone, you go, well, why haven't we actioned anything against Rob Edwards? But if you look at Rob Edwards as a person, the board like him. And they trust him and they think he can turn it around. That's why they give him a 4-year extra contract, really. 4 years extra. So I think we've got to just stick with it, haven't we?
I think, I don't know. Look, the social media, there's so much Edwards out. I think, do they honestly want Edwards out, or do they want him to turn it around? They want, I don't know whether I want him out or not, Dave. I'll be honest. Like I said, chatting to him today, he looks ghost of the man that he was. He looks troubled. He really did, but he was still smiling and everything else. I want him to turn it around, but then there's that flip side of me that sees him bring on Woodrow and not give Taylor a chance.
But we don't know the reasons for that. I keep saying,
Woodrow's doing nothing. Put Taylor on, and if Taylor does nothing, at least he's giving him a go. Do something different. And this is where I'm struggling. I like Edwards. I really like him. I think he's too nice. And he needs a little bit of something. But I want him to stay. I want it to work. But equally, then I'm getting angry because he just seems so stubborn, and he has his favourites. Clark is going to play no matter what. Clark hasn't covered himself in glory this season. He's had a couple of moments, but let's be honest, poor defending the other week. He didn't do great the other day, but okay, he's more of an attacking midfielder for me, but he's going to play no matter what because he's one of the favourites. Woodrow's one of the favourites, and it's whatever. And I don't know. I'm so torn with the whole Edwards thing. But
should let's be fair. I know the buck stops with the manager, but the players should step up a bit, shouldn't they? They should be saying, you know what? Should they not take some of the blame? Because you pick your team on your strongest, players. If we put our strongest team out, we're going to win this game. If we had the likes of Riesberg has been brilliant this season until he got injured.
Amari Bell for a bit of balance.
Amari Bell and Shandon Baptiste. Get Lockyer back on the pitch, please, at some point. That would be fantastic.
Well, Lockyer, I got to say, he was training like an absolute beast today. He looks great, and he was in great spirits. And I did ask him, when are we going to see him out there? And he hinted to the new year.
Lovely. Can't come quick enough, really, can it?
No, I mean, I looked at him and went, get him out, get him out there. Right. He was running. He was fit. He was doing a bit of contact. He looked. Well. And he was in great. He was the one that was in great spirits. So hopefully it's not long.
2 managers sacked today at the time of recording. One in the lower leagues, but obviously Ten Hag.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's not Rob myself, because I think he can get us out of this. And I think sometimes, I'm not going to say trust the process. I think he deserves a little bit longer. And I don't think, it can all be that bad.
I think we've got... Look, we have been decimated with injuries and stuff. I think I think he's probably, in my mind, he's probably got till Christmas.
Well, you can't gloss over poor performances. You just can't. And we haven't, with Watford and Sunderland aside, our performances haven't been good at all this season. For what a bit of a luck, we could have got results other places. I mean, we won at Millwall, but a wonder goal, wasn't it, from Mengi? Yeah, but there you go. We won at Millwall, and then you think to yourself, yeah, we hung on at Millwall at times, and we didn't do very well at Sheffield United. Let's not even go back there.
And Plymouth
Plymouth,
Oh, I know, but here you go then, Dave. But
thanks for reminding me. But I've not given up on him yet, and I haven't given up on the team yet. Yeah. And we should be behind the team. And at this point in time, the team needs us as much as we need them at this point in time. We need to get behind them, because Friday night could be a really big night. Again, under the lights at Kenilworth Road. If we can get something out of the West Brom game, opinions change again, and then we get something out of the Cardiff game, and then things are not so bad anymore.
Yeah.
So, let's think of that. We asked you guys on our poor performance focus, are we as fans panicking too soon in relation to a league position? And should the players step up and take some of the blame rather than just the manager? Andy said, I think we should be concerned, apart from one game where the opposition bottled the occasion. We've been poor with no cohesion or ball retention. Players and manager must share responsibility, but injuries and individual errors are killing us. I sort of agree with the injuries. Our injuries are huge. Deggy, if you don't see his, from Deggy Sports, if you look at his matchday vlogs, they're rather good. For me, it's like watching the constant bad performances. Wouldn't mind if each game was like Sunderland, when we were just unlucky, but you could see the positive signs. But to be 22nd and seeing lots of errors, same mistakes, is tough to watch. Rob needs to trust his squad rotation. Kieran, league position is the worry for me. It's a level of performance and the complete unwillingness to change things up. 2 more. Salty says, we are over a quarter of the way through the season now, so the fans are not overreacting. If they don't sort things out quickly, it's going to be a long, hard season. They need to take collective responsibility. I love that word, collective responsibility. We have had a squad capable of doing much better than this. And I think that's the frustration, isn't it, Darren? That we know that we've got a better squad than this. And is that Paname Hatter? Position? No, the signs have been there since pre-season. Players and Rob, it's all Rob for me. As a manager, your job is to put your players in the position to succeed. This team was unfit and underprepared coming out of July, and we're paying the price for it. Some of them may be a bit harsh. We had lots and lots and lots of comments. We couldn't include them all, but if you go to our social media, you'll see everyone's reply. And some of them put the blame purely on Rob. Others are saying, well, actually, no, the players need to take, look into this and look how you're playing. You've got to give 110% when you pull on that shirt, and we all expect that. And when we see that, as fans, we're well 120% behind the team. If you can beat that stupid figures like 110, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Rob came out, didn't he? And he said, if you're loud and you're proud, then we play better and everything else. For me, it just seems with the crowd, we need them to play well first to get us going. Watford aside, do you know what I mean? Even Sunderland was nowhere near on par with what the Watford feel was like. And like I said, even on Saturday, it just felt a bit weird, didn't it?
And do you know what it's done for me? Because I've been to every game this season so far, and I'm thinking I don't really want to go to Middlesbrough. And it's a long way to go for a 12:30 kickoff. And I've never felt that way about Luton before. I just don't think I want to go.
No, and I said the same about the Cardiff at home game. You know, I have somewhere else that I could be and should be. And, do you know, I'd always put the Luton first. And actually, I sort of said, do you know what? If we get turned over by West Brom, and it's sad that we're going, do I want to go and watch it? Do you know, that's the biggest thing for me, Dave. Isn't it sad where we were at after last season?
Last season was so much fun, and this season is not so much fun. But there's time to turn it around. I've just looked at our next 5, and I'm just thinking, oh God, we've got Borough and Leeds away. I think we need to win our home games. West Brom, Cardiff, Borough, Hull, Leeds.
There's no easy game in this league, is there? But you're looking at those 5.
You'd want at least 6 points.
Yeah, and even that's not going to be. It's not. It's going to. That will keep us where we're at. I look at those 5 and go, that's probably what Rob's got. I think that's what Rob's got. And if we get less than 6 points out of those, I think his time's up.
Well, let's wait and see. Before we go, I just need to mention something. I bumped into Ian Leith. Hi, Liam. Thanks for talking to us on the weekend. But friend of the podcast, Mark Crowther, had a moan. Well, he didn't have a moan. That's not a fair thing to say. Last season, when he cycled to every away game, and I went to every away game, not bumped into him once. This season, every game I bumped into him. But the last 2 that he's travelled to on train, I'm not sure he saw the whole match. He looked rather merry. I hope you got home okay, Mark. And that's all I wanted to say. Anything you want to add to that? No.
Mark, well, I don't think he's too happy with my opinions on Luton. So, but I'll stand by him. I stand by what I said after the Celtic Vigo friendly and after the Burnley game, and I saw this coming.
Well.
So,
before we go, you have a hello to say to someone?
I do. I have a big hello to my cousin Simon.
Oh, hang on, I can put a point for that.
You can have a point for that. No, we met in unfortunate circumstances last week at our uncle's funeral. I hadn't seen Simon for a little while, but he absolutely loves the podcast, loves watching us, and agrees with some of our opinions. But you know, he knows his footy. He was a decent player in his time, and hello to Simon, and of course my uncle Mick as well.
Before we go, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe if you haven't done already. We've got some scores to put out there.
Can I just say the prediction scores?
No, we can't.
You get one right and then 2 come along at once. Not that I was proud of getting the Sunderland one right, but I did get it right.
I tell you now, if you keep backing against us, you will be banned from the podcast. End of story.
Well, I've seen the score predictions that have come in, so it'd be interesting to see what you say.
Who we
for
got next?
West Brom Friday.
Okay, I'm going to go Luton 3, West Brom 0, because it's worked before.
Oh dear, Dave. It doesn't make pretty reading. So Steve's gone 4-1 West Brom.
Steve, you're banned.
Jacob's gone 2-0 West Brom.
Jacob, you're banned.
I've gone 3-1 West Brom.
Darren, you're banned. I'm doing the pod on my own next week.
And Bataro's yet to...
well, Bataro fell us in before the game. Listen, if you've been watching on YouTube, please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. It goes a long way. If you're listening on the other platforms, Spotify, iTunes, or anywhere else you get it, if you can pop across to YouTube and just drop us a like and a subscribe, it'd be much, much appreciated by us. Keep the faith. You never know what might happen on Friday. I'm keeping everything crossed. Have a good week. Enjoy the game Friday. Let's hope we get a win, and we'll speak to you very soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Good night.